You would make such a great mom, though, if you wanted to be a mom.
I love you so much, and I know you'd be an amazing dad.
Because of what you went through, you'd be a fantastic mom.
But I mean, just from you telling me that, I think you'd be a great mother.
You could be a great mother, and just think of having a little you.
I'm Zoe.
And I'm James.
And we are Childfree. Where are we, James?
We're still in Lanzarote.
I don't think we're ever leaving, basically.
Maybe not. We live here now.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah, the weather's less than perfect today. So we are inside, sheltering from the wind. Although the sun's come out, so like our video, if you're watching the video...
It might be a bit blasted with light.
Bit blown out. But also, that's not the only reason we're recording inside the camper van today, is it, Zoe?
No, it's not. We've got a special episode today, and I'm really excited because this is my world. This is my toxic, misogynistic, disgusting world. Lovelies.
I love that without context. Welcome to Zoe's disgusting trash hole.
I mean, you know, we've got to have something, right? We've got to have our guilty pleasures. And for some really horrific reason, I enjoy reality TV. And Love is Blind is one of the most horrifying reality shows. I think because it feels so alien to me, that the whole world of these couples and their values and what they want in their lives is just so foreign to me. But it's like this fantasy world that I get like a window into it and feel so fucking grateful I'm not a part of it.
Yeah, it's truly like I watched some of this season of Love is Blind, which, if you're not familiar, if you somehow skipped the discourse and the memes, we're here to break it down for you. But it's a Netflix show, a dating show, where their revolutionary idea is that folks don't see each other before they decide to get married. Is that it?
That's it. No. So they have to become engaged. They have to propose to each other. Okay. And then they basically get married a few weeks later, which is madness.
Yeah, so I saw a couple of eps with Zoe, and yeah, it was a bit like staring into the abyss, honestly.
Yes.
Not that I'm above trashy reality TV. We just rewatched America's Next Top Model, which again, very zeitgeisty. If you've seen the Netflix doco.
Oh, the toxicity.
Yeah, we're well up on how
popular culture,
how harmful and messed up things were back in the day. But I think why I avoid stuff like Love is Blind is that it feels like back in the early 2000s, or even before, stuff like The Real World and then American Idol and then ANTM, there was, I'm not saying it was better, but there was like almost a freak show quality to it. Right. It was like, now that we're pointing the cameras at normal people, we're finding out that some of them are just wild, and we would like celebrate that and be like, Flavor of Love, so full of different personalities clashing against each other, and you would just turn a camera on people and just let them have at it.
That was very problematic as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying it was better.
People didn't seem to know what they were doing, or maybe we just didn't have enough regulations to stop people from utter manipulation and abuse. Yeah.
So maybe there's less of that going on in reality TV today, but also I feel like there's less personality. I could be wrong. We might find out that I'm wrong.
No. I think sadly reality TV, it's so different. It's very produced. It's really hard sometimes to even watch it, because that storyline was put in there by producers, that wording was put in there by producers. So it's not actually, I think it's wrong to call a lot of these shows reality TV. These are shows for entertainment. I think it's worrying because the people who are put in these shows, they're coming on this show thinking it's reality TV, perhaps, I don't know. Although influencers would come on this show to push out their profile. But there are some people who come on this show and really have no idea about that. They can just use your words in whatever order they want. They can manipulate you in whatever way they want and put out an edit that is not favorable to you. And with social media, if you are on the side of the bad edit, that can have real repercussions for you. But I think, yes, why anyone would want to go on the shows, I have no idea.
To find true love.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
For their fairy tale happy ending.
Yeah, sure. You know, when I was watching the show, I was noticing that just a real pattern and theme. I mean, there's always these patterns with shows that are very much about pushing out one narrative, that life looks one way, and it's with a marriage proposal, a house, a career, children. You always see those kinds of ideas coming out, and I'm always waiting for the child-free person to be there and say, I don't want to have kids, because whenever it happens, it's very rare, and you're like, hallelujah, we have some kind of diversity. And we had, in this season of Love is Blind, we had some women talk about not wanting kids, but then we saw how other people really do not like that. They do not want these women to say they don't want kids, and how subtly there's a lot of trying to change people's minds, or not so subtly, trying to change people's minds and not really listening to people's reasons, to women's reasons why they don't want kids. So I really, as soon as I started seeing this pattern there, I was like, I knew we had to make an episode on this. I'm not going to share lots of clips on, there's lots of other clips about some also horrifying misogynistic things, and there's plenty of discourse out there already about this. We're going to focus on one particular couple, Mike and Emma, because they really were battling on this issue about having kids or not having kids, and watching this played out on the show was not good, really not good. Because, you know, seeing that they're talking about this, and then where they are, the idea of them getting engaged and having a marriage, and it's like, this is a massive decision, guys, massive, and you're on a show maybe about to change your minds in a matter of weeks. So we're gonna do this chronologically, so we can go through and just see their journey, their Love is Blind journey.
Okay, so tell me about Emma and Chris. Okay,
so Emma is actually adopted in her family, and she is from China originally, but her story is really heartbreaking. She believes that she was left at a bus station, and her family is all white American. They adopted her, and she has a few sisters, and her family incredibly loving and gave her a wonderful life. But Emma actually had lots of birthmarks all over her body, and that meant she had a very traumatic childhood where they were removed because there was a chance of melanoma. So she has been through a lot, and the person that she is coupled up with, or she ends up becoming a couple with, not much to say about him, really. You'll see his family come into view in the later episodes, but he is very clear and adamant about wanting kids. It's something that he's very, very clear on. And Emma is someone who has been battling, I'm not even going to say battling with that decision. She is clearly not wanting kids. And what we're going to see is their discussions around this. So let's see.
I mean, without looking, it sounds pretty straightforward, right? Like, she doesn't want kids, he does want kids. I'm assuming you talk about that in the pods, and you would
just
choose.
Should be a very quick episode,
easy
right?
decision, right?
Yeah, I don't want kids, you do. Okay, see you later. Yeah, we're not going to see that. But yes, we're going to watch the kind of first beginnings of their discussions around this, and let's see what happens.
Let's go back to the pods.
I have had you very high.
Ooh, there's a lot in there.
There is a lot in there, yes. I mean, yeah, thoughts. What came to you watching that?
She doesn't want kids. Clearly. Quite clearly, and you can hear how she's mitigating and couching it and presenting it in a way that isn't off-putting,
right,
to someone who is like in the patriarchal soup,
right,
and clearly, I don't know, the way in which he talks sounds, for these guys, I don't know how much of this, I mean, for guys in general, because we are not brought up to think about it like women are,
right,
from any perspective.
No.
So he strikes me as someone who hasn't tried even ever to tap into what he wants.
Never.
He knows what he's supposed to want,
Bingo.
which is a wife and then kids.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, in this day and age, okay, he's like, we'll travel, we'll do this, we'll explore each other, which is gross. And then man up and
Get down
do
to
what
business.
do what he's supposed to do, and lock down a wife,
Yeah.
produce some kids,
Let me just...
boxes tick tick tick,
Yeah.
and then
that's it.
he's done.
I mean, what he said was, let's bring a child into the world because it's a part of who we are. We're leaving a part of us on this earth and the person that we created together, our child. I mean, the legacy thing we have to talk. This idea of, your legacy apparently is incredibly important for men.
Yeah, and I have some ideas knocking around about that. Maybe we'll do a future episode, because I think that like this, I think legacy is for losers. I think this idea, I mean, he even said it like in the way like in which, and this is the idea about life, is that you're someone's child and you're raised up into adulthood, and it used to be that then you would become an adult yourself and get married and have kids and so on. And now there's this idea that at least that there's more to life than that, but there's this sense that like you can only squeeze it into this very small window.
Right.
So he's like, well, yeah, I'll meet someone and fall in love and we'll get married, but then not do kids right away. We'll like
yeah, we'll have fun first.
But he kind of like speed runs through those things, like travel, explore, achieve some goals, just some goals. Oh, and then have kids. And it's like, it's different for men because men are focusing on like, I think to these things like a wife and kids are assets, like a house and a car. And we're taught to like collect these things, and that's then our status.
Yes.
That proves that we are like proper men. And for women it's different because women have to do the labor of those things,
right?
But then you
oh, he gets into that later.
I'm sure but there's this idea that life fits into this like small window between when you're a child and then you have your own children, and it's very different for women who do the labor. But I'll always come back to this quote from Shelley, who you spoke to for the first season of the pod, who was the first person to donate any money to the movement, who's absolute icon, rest in peace Shelley,
rest in
who
peace.
talked about having this discussion with her mum, and her mum was like, well, I sacrificed so that you could have this, and so therefore essentially you need to sacrifice for your kids. And Shelley, at her young age, speaking to her mum, was like, well, if your mum sacrificed for you and you sacrifice for me and I sacrifice for my kids,
who's living?
who's living? It sacrifices all the way down.
Women,
and I guess that's who's living. The men are winning. So like, you have a daughter, well, you're going to raise her up to do the same thing and sacrifice everything. But the men, you kind of do that to enable the men to live these incredible lives. Which, that's a whole fucked up thing in itself. But then just the idea that like you kind of, so that's the trap for women, and then the trap on the male side is like, well, then the best thing you can do is be a father. They're not limited to that. He's going to be off achieving other goals, having a career, doing whatever, but he's also trapped into this sort of like cycle where
he's not even thinking about
he's not
it.
thinking.
I mean, and this idea of legacy of like, oh, we have a kid and we leave our mark on this planet and we leave something of us behind. So what? Why is this something that men care so much about? And obviously it's just this idea that you are nothing unless somehow someone doesn't know you or remember you. And women don't think about that. We give out. We're trained, we are conditioned to give our life over, and men want other people to remember them. They want
it's
to
ego.
It's ego.
Ego. And I think it's this idea that if that happens, if I leave a legacy like a child and a family and my name or people who remember me or whatever, somehow in some way I never die.
Right.
And you can see that in it's literally true in the
tech
tech bros who love pronatalism and also want to have their own kids, like Musk, so that for all of these reasons, so that his, I don't know, he'll be remembered forever throughout the universe in perpetuity. And also some of them are actually working on physically not ever dying.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Fucking mental.
It's like, make the most of your life right now, enjoy your life, and create, if you want to create a legacy, like, create a legacy with the people that you can help, you know? Do that. And they've done tests where they'll ask kids now, who's Steve Jobs? They have no clue. So very quickly, you are forgotten. Yeah. So let it go. Don't hold on to this idea that you need to have some kind of impact, even if you do have, quote unquote, an impact, you will be forgotten. It really is interesting how quickly people do forget you. So, and I mean, let it go.
Yeah, like, also, like you're saying, live your life now.
Yes.
Like, there's this, and I'm sure we're going to get into it. There's this idea that, like, you have your kids and they're somehow, like you said there, it's part of me. They're somehow like this expression of you.
Right.
And so therefore, as soon as you start having kids, you stop living your life.
Yeah.
And then
but then
they start living theirs, but you live like through them.
You put your life onto them because you're wanting them to be a version of you somehow. And that's what he's saying there. And that's not why you bring children. You bring them into this world and you allow them to be who they are. It's not about them being another version of you or a better version, or they lived a better life than you did. Allow them to be who they are. And a lot of people and parents, sadly, don't understand that. So yes.
Man, that's clip one.
That's clip one. So,
woo!
Okay. Right.
Woo! So
she has incredibly valid reasons for worrying about having children.
Yeah. Like I guess is her condition hereditary?
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know. But it could be.
Yeah.
And she knew how hard it was going through that.
The pain, you feel it in her voice. Like,
plus
trauma.
Yeah, trauma on top of the trauma of not knowing who her parents were. And we were speaking to people who've been adopted, and it can be complicated.
Very.
And so she knows about that. She knows about growing up Asian in America. Things have not been easy for her.
Not at all, no.
And she's clearly thought about what that could mean for a child. Any or all of those things being passed down to a child. And the kind of like catch-22, like damned if you do, damned if you don't of that, when he turns around hearing all that and be like, I think that would make you a great mother.
Right. Like, what about a great person? That would mean like you are someone who has gotten through so much in their life and you can do whatever you want, but it always comes down to you'll be a great mother. How can you be a great mother if you bring a child into the world and realize that they have the same thing that you had, and now that child is now going to have to go through all of the operations that you had to go through, or more pain or trauma? How would that make her feel, knowing that she had to struggle to make a decision on this, and she went against those fears in her head and she did it, and actually
that part, like, also there's also the thing where like she has not only thought about those things and made a decision. So it's not just about whatever she could pass down genetically or through inherited trauma or anything like that, but also like the consequences of having a child when you're not sure whether you want to have a child or not, or you've decided not to have a child. That will have an impact as well. And these are all the kinds of things that we hear from people all the time.
Right.
And basically lead us to believe that like the average child-free person, because what they're choosing goes against the grain of all of this dogma and pressure and everything, has thought harder about this decision than the average parent. Of course, there are exceptions.
Yes.
I'm not like blanket, but like she's thought long and hard about this decision, has valid reasons for making the decision that she has, and yes, that's admirable. But to only be able to express that admiration as, well, that means you'd be a great mother.
Right.
Well,
That's not
I
what
mean,
she needed in that moment.
maybe it means I'm like a caring, nurturing person, but the only outlet for that is not kids.
No.
But what does it mean if you are that type of person who's weighed all of that up and then decided for you or for this TV show or for whatever reason, I'm just going to go ahead and have being like fuck it and have kids? I think it does not make you a good parent.
No, and she's been through so much, not just through having physical scarring and being an Asian child adopted with an all-white family, the racism that she's probably encountered in her life, and she talks about this a bit later on as well. It's like she has come from a place where, like you said, life is so complicated, and he has not had anything in his life that has made him see that having children is not as clear cut as you think, mate.
Right.
It is not as simple. You don't just have a child and it pops out and everything goes smoothly. Maybe you could be the one in a million that it's like the perfect experience. But the reality is life is complicated, and she knows that. And instead of him validating that and saying, of course you have those concerns, of course you need to think about what's right for you moving forward, and I would support whatever you do. Instead of saying that, he says, because of that, you'd make a great mom.
and the telling his own story as if those things are equivalent.
I was banging my head
It's
lovely
mad.
against
Like,
my chair, because it's like, this isn't a competition, and I
No.
know you're trying to connect, but you cannot compare those two experiences.
No, I mean,
you
I
felt
was
nothing at that time.
Yeah, I was a premature baby
And if you
by
put-
like 16 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I was just talking to my mum about this because it's nearly my birthday, and I got love from my preemie community, right?
But you would never bring
No,
that up
because
when
I
talked
don't-
about their traumatic
No, because I don't
childhoods.
remember any of
No.
that. And the only scar I've got from that is I had a hernia, so now I've got an outie tummy button.
Ew.
That's it. Which is gross.
I love it now, but it took me many years. Nah.
Of therapy and working through that trauma.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. And
No.
also, even in him telling what he went through, his takeaway is that, like, I'm a miracle and a fucking fighter.
No.
So, like, well, tell you
We
what,
can get
bro,
through
it
anything.
doesn't sound like you've been through anything
No.
then, mate.
No, so let's.
Wait, I've got to stop giving it the Ric Flair woo,
Woo!
after
Yeah, I
every
know,
after
right?
every. But it's hard.
It's hard. It is really hard. Okay, clip 3.
Getting pissed now. Yeah,
Woo.
like I don't like the way in which they talk about family. Which is a very like basic, normal way to talk about family. They're like, I could see myself starting a family with you. Well, when you get married, yeah, you're a family. You're a family before that if you really love each other, which none of this has anything to do with love. But, or it can be you and your dog or whatever. Or it could be you and adopted children, as she knows from her experience of family. She has a more complicated relationship with family. And she knows that, okay, she's in a different position now, but she knows that, like, the people that you're born to may not just be able to, like, bail you out whenever. And all of this, like, hand waving, oh, it'll be fine. He's just waving away concerns.
Which so many people just go, it'll work out. It'll all work out. It's like, but what if it doesn't all work out? And actually, we actually had, remember that person who DM'd me saying that they basically sent me this massive rant saying that we're way too negative about this. Things just will work out. Like, he basically didn't really want kids and he had 3 and it just kind of all worked out. And I was just, my jaw was on the ground at that. I'm like, again, people using their one experience and blanket it for everyone and saying, oh, because it worked out for me, what, you had kids you didn't want and somehow you managed to like it or whatever. That means everyone should push through any worries, any concerns, any gut feelings, ignore them, bury them down there. Just go for it and just, it'll all work out.
Bro, yeah.
What?
That dude's point was, like, basically, don't think about it.
Don't think about it.
Don't just do it. Which is... I can't even say is good advice. But if you imagine a world which is the world in which that person who DM'd you and this guy that live in
So what's a
where,
man saying it'll work out, right?
where everyone has kids. If everyone has kids, then yeah, just do it. Because you don't really have a choice. It's not really a decision to make. It'll work out or it'll not work out and it'll be a fucking shit show. But like, what else are you going to do? Nothing. So when there's no alternative and it's the only path to fulfillment or adulthood or whatever, family, legacy, then yeah, you do just have to do it and not think about it.
Yeah.
But the argument, like, we do get sometimes people just making the argument of like, I just don't think about it.
I mean,
which I would
that's-
say
yeah.
is not good advice for anyone, including
For
people
anything.
who are sure they have kids.
For anything,
Think about, yeah,
be
think about
intentional
it.
with your life. This is why we have unhappy people and an unhappy society often, or unhappy parents, children. Like, you haven't thought about it, so you're making decisions for your life based on a script that was handed to you by someone else.
Yeah. And this idea that there are like just easy fixes for all these things
Right.
just speak to like his privilege, like as a
His
man,
privilege,
but also
yeah.
how his different background
Yeah.
to his, and the genetic testing.
The genetic
Right,
testing.
I'll
I knew
send
you would. I knew you
I'll
would be
share a
wild out
link
with
in
that
the
one.
in the show notes. There's a great podcast
Podcast,
called
yeah.
Ill Conceived.
I forget what the main topic was. I think they were
Fertility,
actually,
right? Infertility issues.
I think they were
and-
getting into like weird tech. They're exploring kind of the intersection between Silicon Valley and all this pronatalism, and all of these companies that are popping up to help you really, for rich
have the
rich
quote-unquote
people,
perfect
exactly
child.
have the perfect
Yeah,
baby.
and be able to work if you like also
Yeah.
use a donor and real dystopian
People
shit.
have looked into this genetic testing thing. Like they
Yes.
quote an article from a journalist who like basically got her DNA tested by some different companies, and they all come back with completely different results.
Right.
So the shit doesn't work.
No.
And also, if it did work, if it was like there's a 30% chance of you passing down your condition to this child,
So what do you do then?
what do you do?
You go
Because
for it?
because
Risk
yeah,
it?
because what that
Oh.
actually means is all they're telling you, really, it's 30%. It sounds low, but
Mm.
what that actually means is your child either will or will not have this.
Yeah.
So there's a chance they will have it, which is her
And then imagine
which is her point. It's the thing she doesn't want
you
to
have
do.
a child and then they have this, they go through immense trauma and pain, and then they find out that you did a genetic testing, you knew this was a possibility, you knew it because of the experience that you had. How is that child going to understand that? And we have lots of people in our community who really grapple. They may want children, but they are thinking about the life of a child that they would bring into this world, and they care more about that child than even their own wants and desires. They are thinking about that experience for their child. And I don't think that's so incredibly hard for someone to do, but that people in our community do this.
Yeah.
And that is what people need to do.
Yeah, and it's the opposite of selfish. It bugs
Oh,
me when
yeah.
the word selfish comes up.
Yes.
Because she's like, I've been selfish, as if dealing with her own stuff and generating
Huge stuff.
self-awareness
Right.
around this is somehow like a problem and a bad thing.
And she's young as well. It's like,
and-
dude, you should be enjoying your life.
And like, and once for him, it kind of all gets into like, he's selfish, right? He wants kids, and he also basically knows that if things go wrong, he'll be bailed out by his family
Right.
or by his wife. He
Yeah.
knows that. Even just saying like, I'll help.
I'll help.
I'll help.
Right.
And
If a
they-
man says, I'll help, you have to go, thank you for that useless, pointless statement, because it doesn't matter if you help. It's not going to be, you can't breastfeed. Your body doesn't change shape. There are things that you will never be able to help with, and it won't matter. And also, we know men can say they'll help, but the reality, when it hits, they might not help.
And just the
so-
idea that it's like an optional opt-in thing.
Yeah, I'll
Like
help.
the
I'll help.
baseline,
No, mate, it's
being
your
a-
responsibility.
Being a dad is just impregnating someone
Yes.
and then going to work and putting food on the table.
That idea, yeah,
and
of
like
helping.
anything above that is something that
Yeah.
the woman involved should be really grateful for, and makes him like an extra special, awesome dad. And So he's kind
He
of
gets
like
a pat on the back for helping.
right.
It's
He's-
your child.
And to be saying like these things that you're saying to me now, this thought that you've put in, that would make you a great mom. I feel like when he shares stuff, he's putting out there not just to her but to the world. I'll be a great dad.
Oh yeah. Oh,
which
absolutely.
is so fucking easy
Yeah.
comparatively.
Right.
I feel I
It's
know
just-
I talked a lot, but I feel like there's other stuff in there that made me
know,
mad, which I
right,
didn't
honestly.
track. But I'm sure these other clips will.
Oh
I
no,
can
the
see...
end of it. The end of it. He's going to try. And he says, I'm gonna try and sway you as like
Oh.
a lol jokey. No, this is real life, mate. And
Yeah, it's fucked up.
And you don't try and sway someone into having children. You don't do that. You let people make the decisions. Like whether you have kids or you don't, both are valid. But you have to let each person come to that realization of what is right for their life. And the fact that he even says that, and I mean everything he's saying as well, it's all trying to convince her and plant some seeds in there, and you are trying to change her mind. You are.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating.
I know. I've just clocked your notes as well. Like they're getting more and more capitalized
Capitals.
as they go on.
More
And
exclamation marks.
There's a lot of exclamation marks and question marks. So I can't wait to hear what's coming up now.
Right. Right.
So that's insane.
That's
I've
nuts.
never heard of that before.
Oh no, I've heard it
You've heard-
on these shows. I've heard
Oh,
it.
okay.
I've heard it. Like there is this idea that if I have kids with and my friends or my brother or my sister has kids, we'll all have this wonderful, happy experience all together, and we'll all go on holidays together. And it's like, okay, you can have your little fantasy, but the fact that you're even vocalizing this to your brother is horrible. Like the pressure that you're putting on other people to have kids to give you some experience is wild. And now you're telling her that. Oh my god.
Oh, that's insane. That's
Yeah.
insane. Right. That
You can't even
you
speak.
almost
You can't speak.
expect it from parents.
Yeah, 'cause
or
they're
I'm
told
used to hearing it from
they'll get
parents.
grandkids, yeah.
Like very telling that the dad's like, "Have you talked about grandkids? I mean kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah, exactly.
oh, you mean your grandkids? Have they decided whether to grant you grandkids?"
And Emma says, "I know you want grandkids."
Yeah.
This is
right.
gross.
His sister sitting around the table, she's talking about when we have kids with her husband. Okay, grandkids taken care of, right?
Yeah.
She's going to provide you with grandkids. But she's using that to kind of double down and be like, but my kids are going to need someone to play with. And it's
It's like make
fuck
some
that.
friends.
Like,
make some friends.
it is like you were saying, like this idyllic fantasy version of
Yes.
childhood, which is fine that you liked that. It's great that you liked
You
that,
got that
and you had
experience,
that.
that's
But when you
wonderful.
start saying, I want this for my kids,
Right.
it's messed up.
Yeah.
So messed up. You're talking about basically like controlling then what your kids will
Yeah.
do. And what your brother's kids will do and stuff. And also just this, I love my cousins, but I also grew up hundreds of miles away from them. So we hardly ever saw them. And I liked seeing my cousins when I saw them.
Yeah, but
and
they're
like
not-
also
they're
the
not
rest of the
moving miles
time,
away for
the
that.
rest of the time I had fucking friends. Like your kid can
But
go
their
out and
whole-
make friends.
Their whole idea, though, is that they'll all live right next to each other. You know, they'll all travel.
Right.
They'll all see each other, and that's like, you know, it's just that, like you said, this image in their head, and they want this thing. But it's just wild to put that kind of pressure out there on your siblings, because I still think I don't even know he's obsessed by having kids, but obsessed by this idea of having kids.
Well,
you
it's
know?
also like it's clear.
He's
from...
never mentioned like I just want to like nurture. I want to raise an incredible person. Like I love looking after. None of that. He has never said any of that.
There's not one shred of evidence that he has thought for himself
No,
what he wants for
that's it.
himself. And it's clear from the family, from getting it from like all sides, that there's just this belief in family, and
Yeah.
also that it looks a certain way,
Right.
because it's not enough. Like she needs to run for the hills, like
Oh,
you're
God,
a danger
yes.
girl,
Right?
like these is
they're,
red
they're
flag
putting on
central.
their best faces right now. They
Right.
are. That's them being
This is
nice.
right, this is the acceptable view.
Imagine if you married this person. Imagine what was happening. What about if this is the other thing. He's obsessed. They're all obsessed by him having kids. What if she says yes, I definitely want kids, but what if she can't?
Right.
What if she's not able to have kids? So then what? Like it's just this assumption that you're just going to magically pop out some kids, and it's not as easy as that. And yeah, it's just wild that what would happen to her if she wasn't able to have kids.
Right. And this complete intolerance for anything else outside of this, because it's clear that when the pressure is to have kids, but also that pressure comes, it's not going to be fine for her to be like, okay, we're having kids but we're moving to Europe.
Oh God, no.
Or whatever.
No,
They're
no,
saying
no.
when we say kids, we actually mean kids plus live near us, see each other every week, have the cousins play with each other. Like, they're just saying, like, literally only live the life that we lived.
Yes.
That our grandparents
that we
lived,
imagined for you.
That we imagined for you, but we only imagined it for you because it's what we had and liked.
Right.
Like, just this lack of, like, imagination,
Yes.
tolerance, like actual...
And accepting your kids are not an extension of you. They are not.
Yes.
They are their own person. They can do whatever they want with their life, but it's never about, it seems with these parents, it's not about that. It's about you're meant to live my life.
I just keep seeing your notes.
No.
I cannot wait for this one.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Here, Emma is with her family introducing them to Chris.
Damn. That's
Thank
so,
God she had that sister there to give an actual reality check.
And her whole family is like, you were a hard no.
Yeah, they know her. They know who
So
she is.
she
and
knows
what
her.
her reasons were, and
She's been a hard no.
Yeah.
The mum was saying no one should have to come up with reasons or justify it.
Right.
She's a hard no.
Although maybe you should have to come up with reasons to have children.
I,
Is that too?
You don't have to come up with reasons for anyone else to justify anything that you do.
No.
I think you should think about it.
Absolutely.
And I think he should
I think you should question why you want kids, because I think when you do that, you need to get to the root of whether this is conditioning.
Yeah.
And it's an assumption that you've built over years of living in a pronatalist world.
Yeah.
Or whether you truly want to have kids. And I think that's what we all have to recognize. The decisions that we make, are they our decisions, or are they coming from the system that we were born into? That's why you do have to analyze, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
And people don't do that.
No, and that's the annoying part of her family being so open-minded and respectful, is that she has to sit with his family and sit there and justify and come up with a laundry list of reasons why she doesn't want kids, or whatever she said. Why she's on the fence, however she's presenting it, and knowing that none of those reasons is good enough because they're just telling you what you should do. And then he goes and sits with her parents and they talk about how no one should have to justify why they don't want kids. This kind of unsaid thing is that no one should have to justify why they do want kids, but I think he does. He would have to prove to me anyway that he has even thought about this. And the fact that you like compare it to having a dog.
Oh no, my God. And his face is so serious. He's just like, but you know, when it's a puppy and you have to like feed it and it's like, look, we've had a puppy and we've also lived with family and seen how intense it is to actually have a child. There is no comparison, I don't think.
And I think also my response to that is like, I don't even want to have a puppy again. Rest in peace, Olive. Love her to death. But like, my favourite time with Olive was like way past the puppy stage. When she stopped being so... I mean, she was always a bit of a dickhead. She was a French bulldog. But like, little old lady Olive, who would just sit on your lap. And anyway.
the puppy stage is nightmarish. And I mean, how about he gets a puppy? How about you do that first? Do that give you a little wake-up call, because I think he has no idea what it's like to have a puppy. But anyway, they are different. So don't bring it up in front of parents.
But have to give her flowers.
No,
give her sister her flowers, because
she was so brutally honest.
Yeah.
On national telly, I hope the reaction to her has been okay and positive, because that's the thing. Women saying, and you heard her very carefully, the words that she was using. I think the first thing she said is, sometimes I wake up and I think she wanted to say something
She
real.
wanted to say fuck them kids.
Maybe not quite as aggressive as that, but she then worded it in a way that she knew was going to be palatable to people. But I think, and you can say, I don't regret having, if you can say that, my kids, it makes it more palatable to people. But clearly I think she's wrestling with this idea that I could have also had a life where I didn't have kids and I would have been fine and happy as well.
Yeah, she says like the acceptable thing that he kind of was nodding along with, like it's the hardest thing in the world. But that's like an easy thing to throw around.
Yeah.
And be like ... but it's worth it.
Right.
All the rest of it. But she's like, no, it's such a hard thing that if I had my time again, I might choose a different thing.
Right. Listen to her words. It's clearly incredible. It's been incredibly difficult. And she's had, apparently, looks like a wonderful family support system. She's had a lot of privilege even then when it comes to probably being around her family and all of that. So she says it's really difficult. That tells you something. And obviously, I don't think it means that every person needs to go, this is going to be really difficult, so I can't do it. But I do think in the current way we have set up parenthood, especially for women, it's not fair. And it's getting more unfair. It's not going in a direction which is helping women and mothers. And I do feel like women need to look at that system and say, am I going to be impacted for the worse if I do this because I don't have the support I need? The world wants me to not work. The world wants me to be perfect at this as well, and all of these things. And actually, in the current setup that we have, can I actually do this and enjoy this role? And I'm not saying it all has to be rainbows and sunshine. I'm not. But when the cards are stacked against you, it's just not fair. And we have to be realistic about that.
Yeah. So that's, for any woman who...
But men don't need to think about that.
Exactly.
That's what we see, yeah.
Exactly. And also, those are things to think about for people who do want kids. It's going to be hard. You should reckon with that. Work out how you feel about it. Is it going to be worth it? She is a hard no. And what we're seeing is just people trying to fucking chip away at her.
Yes.
And it's like, why would you...
Make her not trust her own voice.
What is it not... Whatever. It's in the context of this TV show. His options were like limited or whatever.
Right.
But why not just go into the pods and ask everyone if they want kids and then pick from one of the ones who does? Don't fucking do this to someone. Don't do this to your kids if you end up having kids.
Give it the respect
to a woman who doesn't want them and has legitimate reasons to be like very scared about what their life is going to be like. Don't do that.
And I want to make sure people... changing your mind is allowed, that is valid, but what we're seeing here in real time is a TV show pushing and using this as a storyline because maybe they didn't have much else going on, so it's okay, we got to lean into this, and fucking with her head to the point where her family are like, you've always been a hard no, you've never really been into it, but all of a sudden after 2 weeks on this show you're now starting to say it's a possibility for you. And you've only spoken to this guy how many times, for how long? We're talking, I can't remember what the timeline is, but we're talking a handful of times that they speak to each other. So it's not enough time for you to truly come and change your mind about this. They shouldn't have gotten engaged.
I mean, it's just not enough time anyway. It's not enough time for the people in the pods who do want kids to know whether they want to have kids with this person.
So, the next clip.
What's going on? Oh, I can see his fucking dad again.
Yeah.
With his shitty Oakleys. So he's treating this as an ultimatum on the kids thing.
Yes,
right?
which I mean, I think he has to, right?
Like, but has he said that to her?
I don't think he says that literally. No.
Right.
I think he said, "I need to be certain that you want kids."
I mean, that's why he's making her go first.
Yes. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But I mean, it's just madness. Like, even to have conversations where she is like, you've heard from her family, she was a hard no.
Right.
She has said to you, I have major worries and concerns. So all of those things would tell you this is way too big a thing to even get through to the engagement, then get through. Even if she'd said, yes, I want kids, I would have said, it's too big a risk right now to marry someone when you may have just been persuaded through this process.
Yeah. So someone said to us at some point, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no.
Right.
And she's been a hard no, and you don't get turned from a hard... I believe you would not ever get turned from a hard no into a hard yes.
Well,
or if it
over
did happen,
weeks, no. Over years,
over years,
yes.
yes.
I think we've had people in our community who, people change. We change, and that's okay. But it doesn't happen in 2 weeks.
No, and
or
so
a month, or even a year.
So him and his family and the fucking producers and whoever else, no one's interested in whether she wants kids or not. It's been established she doesn't want kids.
Yeah.
What they want to know is, will she just capitulate and just have kids?
Right.
And and I'll still stand by what I said before. He can go out and find a woman who wants kids. There are lots of them. Go out and pick from them. Why are we coming out here and being forcing, basically coercing women into having children? And I think that's the insidious thing that gets lost a bit. They just want her to be sure or be clear or whatever, but they don't give a fuck what she thinks.
No,
actually.
She's just a vessel for a baby, basically.
Right.
That's all they care about. They just need a woman to give him his children. That's all that matters.
And the idea that they're uninterested, waving it all away again, it'll be fine,
Yeah.
Whatever struggle you end up having, mentally or physically, all of the consequences of having children, that'll all be fine. Yeah. Whatever impact that has on the children themselves, in knowing or just feeling or whatever that they're not truly wanted, it'll be fine.
It's wild.
Just the how cavalier it is.
Yeah.
And how callous it is towards this woman who he's supposed to love. He doesn't give a shit about her.
No. She's just a body to give him his precious children. In Gollum style. Precious. So yes, now we come on to the finale. They're at the altar now.
She's made no one happy, though, because she's not happy. She deliberately talked about the stuff they still need to work through. So that's the kids thing. She gave herself 2 years. She said maybe it's in 2 years' time. So that means that her parents are like, what the fuck is she doing? His parents are like, what the fuck is she doing? Because she didn't give...
He gave her an ultimatum.
And she didn't
say anything.
Enthusiastic consent
Right.
to being impregnated. And that's
But it's
that's
wild.
so...
I was shocked. I was shocked. I just thought, no, she's got her head screwed on. She's going to realise that you can't say yes to something when he is a very clear, obsessed man by having children, and you are on the fence still, and that's okay, that's valid. You need time to work this out. Don't lock yourself into anything. And then hearing her say yes, I was just like, girl, he got in your head.
Yeah, I hate the message that
you can change their minds.
Change people's minds, because he said he would.
Yeah.
And he hasn't quite yet, but he's essentially backed you into a corner.
Yeah.
Where actually he's not trying to change her mind. He's trying to back her into a corner and get her to do what he wants her to do.
He kept saying, I'm giving you time. No pressure. I'm letting you come to this decision. It's like, you absolutely were trying. There's so many things you were planting words and ideas and values in her head. And this is what people do. And we have to be so clear in who we are and listen to the voice that we have inside of us, because yes, the world and other people will try and make you doubt yourself. That's what will happen. And if you waver on it, people will see that as a weakness. And I feel like he saw, okay, she's kind of talking about, she's on the fence, so maybe this, I can. And even if she changes her mind in 5 years and she says, I want them, that's fine, that's valid, that's fine. But the fact that you came into the show being a hard no, your family thought you were a hard no, you're given so many legitimate reasons why you have concerns, and what happened in the weeks of this show, what happened there, that's the red flag that I was just so sad for her that they got into her head.
And I hate that message to people out there who think they can change people's minds, but also to women out there who may be less sure than she was going in. And because behind all of it is the idea that it's the right decision to have kids.
Right. She was in the wrong.
Yeah,
and it needed to change. Yeah.
And that's a horrible message to send out there to people anyway, that like actually all of the kind of your true voice inside and your internal doubts and questions and concerns, ignore that because that's wrong.
Yeah.
So now, I don't know. I don't fucking know. Like I was going to say, like, I hope he does the right thing and is like, well, you didn't say that you do want kids, therefore we're not going to do this.
Okay. You might be pleasantly surprised.
Let's see. I also don't think he actually gives a fuck what she wants. But who knows?
No. But let's see if Chris/Mike does the right thing.
So, like, fucking... I mean...
Thank God.
Thank God.
No, thank God.
I hope they're, like... walking. I don't know what happens.
I know
after
the reunion is still to come, and I don't know whether they are. I hope they're not still together because
find someone who wants the things that you want.
Yeah,
but it's kind of annoying that he came out of it seeming like reasonable and thoughtful and open and understanding when he was anything but.
He heard her points.
Her points, her feelings, right? Way to diminish the hard thought she's put into this, which took her to being a hard no.
Right.
And she comes out of it being like, she seems like she doesn't really know what she wants.
Yeah.
It's so fucking annoying.
And that's fine as well, because they're young. Like, well, actually, I don't know how old they are.
They're about 30.
Right,
nearly 30.
But yeah, you're right. She does know what she wants.
Yeah.
But everyone around her is telling her that's wrong. And she's trying to convince herself that somehow she could do it. If she just gives herself enough time, if she just works through it enough, she can see herself getting there. When she said that, I was like, there is nothing for you to get to. You don't have to change your mind. If it happens, it would happen, and it would be a natural thing that you would be wanting. But it's almost, I need to get there, and I can get there, and I will get there, and no.
Yeah, like it's some character flaw.
Yeah.
Like he earlier said something about her overcoming it. It's a problem within her that she needs to overcome, and she hasn't done it yet. So I don't know if they're going forward, if there's some kind of version of like conversion therapy that they'll put her into to like brainwash her.
Oh man. I mean, well, that's what his family would have been like if she'd ended up if she ends up with him. That's what she'll have, a constant people dropping. And we have people in our community saying that their partners, parents wants them to have kids, and it's a constant barrage of messaging and judgments and questions, and it just must be so difficult to navigate that, and I've had this as well. As a woman, we are not given the leeway to listen to our own voice, or we're not given the confidence. We just have this constant message that you don't know who you are, so stop thinking about it. We're going to tell you who you are, and you just need to do your duty, and whatever it is, have kids, marry this guy, and don't think so hard about it. And obviously the battle that many of us women have is we don't want it. And we're battling for years trying to be like, but I'm meant to want it. I'm meant to be this version of a woman that society tells me. And if I just think it in a certain way, if I just stop questioning myself, I will, quote unquote, get there. And the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves is to stop trying to fit inside of a mold that someone else wants you to fit, and start really delving into who you are. And no one else can tell you who you are. Only you can tell you who you are. And everyone needs to do this, men, women, whatever, because we are in this system, and it's patriarchy and it's pronatalism. So we have to stop looking and asking everyone else for it, and actually really delve inside. And that only comes with doing that work on ourselves. And it can take time. You could be really lucky and know who you are. And we do have people in our community who are like, I knew at 7, I knew this. And I'm like, oh God, I wish I'd been like you. But we all have different experiences. And
also that's one challenge, is knowing and trusting yourself. And then the next part is like saying it out loud to the people around you, which is especially hard because even in societies like America, where you have the choice. It's like you can choose what to do with your life, but there's still value judgments placed on those choices.
Oh, totally.
And there's clearly there's a single right choice to make. So being able to say what you want out loud, which must be hard on TV.
Oh God, yeah.
With strangers,
Yes.
strangers' families. Like, she was clear in herself. She was clear to the people around her. And then when she was like put under the microscope
Right.
and had pressure coming at her from new
Everywhere,
sides at all times, then she
Started
buckled.
to
But it's
buckles,
hard.
yeah.
It's hard. Like, it's so hard. And yeah, Zoe's right. Like, it's patriarchy and it's pronatalism that's going to try and push you in a certain way. And yeah, we just hope that I don't know how helpful this episode's been, but I hope that the podcast and the stories that we share and the portraits that we share and the work that we do at least shows people that you can choose other things.
Yeah.
Or you can choose what's right for you, and you can have a future and hope and have love and live a happy life. And you can do that and be true to yourself.
Yeah, I dealt with this as well in my 20s of questioning myself, and I know how hard it is. And maybe I could talk a bit about the program that I'm working on as well, which is something that I want to create a space where women especially can try and do that work and the deprogramming and know that actually we don't need to be fixed. There is nothing that we need to change about ourselves. We just actually have to get rid of all of the expectations and the shoulds and the bullshit that society puts on us and reveal who we've always been. And this is something that I saw people talking about when menopause happens and we go through this transformation where we actually can end up being who we've always been. When you stop giving a fuck about everyone else and stop thinking that you are here to serve everyone else, you start to actually reveal who you were always inside. And I love that idea. Yeah, so this is a little teaser, but I'm working on something which is going to be a program where a group of women come together and we're going to talk through the different things that affect us, the stigma and the pressures, and finding the meaning outside of, what society tells you it should be, which is motherhood, and come through the other side all together and be confident in who we are.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm working on right now.
Alright.
So if you're interested, in the show notes, there'll be a wait list for when we're going to give over some more details for that. So I'm excited about it. I am really excited.
Yeah, right. Like, I wish it sounds amazing.
You're not included.
I'm not included, which is the best part.
Oh no.
But yeah, I wish that Emma had
Right. I know.
link for Emma, maybe.
I believe in Emma. I think she just needs to get back with her family, who clearly have been there to support her for who she is. And that's actually the thing. When you have those voices around you who allow you to be who you are, support your decisions, that's your safe space. And I guess that's what this program that I'm going to create is going to be, like this space to be who you are. And she'll get back. She'll be okay when she's with the people who love her and support her and want her to be Emma. She just needs to get the fuck away from Mike, Chris, whatever his name is. Get the hell away from him. And
All right,
his
can't wait
messed
for
up
the
family.
can't wait for the finale now. Hopefully
The reunion.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Can't wait
yeah.
for the reunion.
It's it's going to be, as they always are. They are barely working out. They're not. What can we expect from a show like this? This is not about finding people true love and true matches, and
What?
it's okay. I'm just saying it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's horrifying as well. But I will watch it and I'll report back to James and tell you if Mike and Emma are still going out. Hopefully not.
Fingers crossed.
But thanks for listening, lovelies.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed this.
Hope you got a big dose of scary pronatalism.
Yeah. Yes.
And you'll never look at the world the same way again.
Yeah. Take care of yourselves, lovelies.
Yeah, speak soon, lovelies.
Bye.
Bye.